In multiple missions near the city of Ploesti, Romania, U.S. Army Air Force bombers repeatedly hammered away at the Nazis' vital supply of oil. It all started at a January 1943 meeting in Casablanca, Morocco, when British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt agreed the Ploesti refineries would be a primary target for the Army Air Forces. This complex of 5 refineries in Ploesti, plus 2 more nearby, supplied Germany with 60% of its crude oil. The Allies believed destruction of the Ploesti complex, codenamed Operation Tidal Wave, would be the turning point of the war. It would be a difficult target since Ploesti was well defended and located more than 1,000 miles from Allied airfields in North Africa. The commander of the 9th Air Force, Major General Louis Brereton, selected Brigadier General Ent to supervise preparation for the mission. Ent was assisted by Colonel Jacob Smart, who proposed a low-level mission. Analysis had indicated it would take a minimum of 1,400 heavy bombers to achieve success with a standard high-altitude attack, and there simply weren't that many bombers available. So Smart turned to the one tactic that just might work: a low-level surprise attack to evade German radar and destroy all 7 key targets simultaneously. 3 8th Air Force B-24 groups, the 44th, the 93rd, and the 389th went to airfields near Benghazi, Libya, to join with 2 9th Air Force B-24 groups, the 98th and the 376th, for this mission under 9th Air Force Command. Before the real attack, air crews practiced low-level formation flying and bombing runs over scale replicas of the targets built by engineers in the North African desert. Early on the morning of August 1, 1943, 178 B-24s took off from Libya with more than 1,700 airmen on board. Flying at low altitude together, they passed the island of Corfu and then headed northeast toward Albania and Yugoslavia. But the well-laid plan started to fall apart when the 2 lead groups, the 376th and the 93rd, climbed to a different altitude than the rest of the planes. Ordinarily, radio communications would have allowed the bombers to regroup, but the Americans were maintaining radio silence, unaware the Germans were already tracking them and had figured out the target was the oil refineries in Ploesti. This gap in the bomber stream became critical when the 376th lead aircraft misidentified the initial point of the bomb run and turned too early. The 93rd bomb group followed. The lead group soon realized their mistake and changed course, but the unplanned turns threw the formation and attack plans into complete disarray. Alarmed, General Ent broke radio silence and ordered the 2 groups to bomb any target at will. Part of the 93rd bomb group flew to the north of Ploesti, while the remainder turned southwest and headed for the Columbia Aquila refinery. This brought a new danger. The Columbia Aquila refinery was the target assigned to the 44th bomb group, and now the 93rd's bombers were headed right for the other American planes on a nearly perpendicular course. Again, fate favored the Allies as the B-24s of the 93rd Bomb Group arrived over the target and released their bombs just ahead of the bombers of the 44th. The diorama before you depicts the arrival of the 44th Bomb Group's first 4 B-24s over their assigned target. In the lead is Susie Q, flown by Major William Brandon, with Group Commander Colonel Leon Johnson flying in the co-pilot's position. Colonel Johnson led his group into the inferno to deliver its bombs as planned, miraculously avoiding collisions with the 93rd aircraft coming off the targets ahead of the 44th. The damage to the refineries was heavy. Colonel John Kane, 98th Bomb Group commander, had predicted as much on the night before the mission when he told his flight crews, quote, "It would take an entire army a year to fight its way up here and smash this target. We are going to do it in a couple of minutes with less than 2,000 men." Still, the cost was high. Of the 178 B-24s that took off that morning, only 33 returned to their bases in North Africa in flying condition. More than 500 American airmen lost their lives, and 430 were injured. Altogether, 2,500 decorations were awarded for service in this Ploesti mission, including 5 Congressional Medals of Honor, our nation's highest decoration, and the largest number of Medals of Honor given for any single air mission in the entire war. American bombers returned to the skies over Ploesti several months later, after the 15th Air Force was established in Italy. These 15th Air Force missions began in April 1944 and continued until August of that year, when the Soviet Army moved into Ploesti and put the refineries out of action for good. By then, Ploesti had been reduced to rubble.